they start off talking about Penn State and going to Penn State's pro day, and Carmen Bricillo's there. And he's talking to Saquon Barkley, of all people. Obviously, Saquon, being a Penn State alum, was at the pro day. This is past the time period now where Barkley has been already, signed with the Eagles, so he's not a member of the Giants any longer. And Bricillo and Barkley have a little conversation. Now, keep in mind, Bricillo was on the team last year. We don't know what kind of background him and Barkley may have had from, people like, oh, he would never coach Barkley's team before. They probably have no relationship. They might have a relationship. Keep in mind, the football world is much smaller than people like to imagine sometimes. I'm not saying he does. I'm just saying I'm not going to be quick to say he doesn't. But they had a conversation at this pro day. And Saquon was talking about the offensive line and the guys they signed with Bricillo. And Bricillo said, Runyan, the kid from Green Bay. That's what they meant when they mentioned who they signed. He said, Runyan, the kid from Green Bay. That's all he said. Kind of very short as far as that. But then he says, and Eluemunor. And this is where you see him light up. Like, Bricillo's got a little bit of a reputation, guys, for being a little rough. Just a little. And we're seeing a lot more humorous side of him in Hard Knocks. We don't see the coaching side. We see the actual personality of who he really is. He says, and Eluemunor is a kid that I've had. Jermaine is one of those kids. I love him truly. He's like one of those players that you say, hey, man, love you. Let's have a day today. So you can tell he really had a fond time working with Jermaine Eluemunor. Keep in mind, he worked with them, his last stop in Las Vegas with the Raiders, but he also worked with them previously with the New England Patriots. This is why Rob and I said the second that we got Bricillo, said, watch Jermaine Eluemunor come to the Giants. 100%. We called it that night when they got Bricillo. And it's almost like we knew we were talking about it, Rob.
It's like,
Yeah.
We saw the writing on the wall.
Exactly. Saquon then goes on to say Runyan's pretty good. Bricillo calls him smart, tough, athletic. He also, this is what I thought was very interesting, he also says that Runyan brings center flex into the room, suggesting he could go into play center if need be. I thought that was a very interesting, not even asked about kind of comment. Like, he brought that up himself. Like, it was on the top of his mind. It was something that intrigued him about Runyan. There wasn't Saquon like, hey, can you play center too? Like, no, he was quick to pop that out. That was the top of his head. So very interesting, because we've talked about some of these players and coaches maybe on a short leash this year, because this is year 3 for this regime. They didn't do very good last year. Back-to-back bad years is not usually very good for coaching and GM staffs. It makes you wonder, are they thinking of him as a backup plan if JMS isn't doing good or gets hurt again, or, whatever the case may be? Like, is that what part of the plan is for Runyan? And I feel like that comment was made very quickly and I haven't heard anybody else really talking about it. Like,
it was kind of like flew under the radar pretty fast, because like the offensive line's not a sexy talking point. You're in the trenches, like it's not that sexy.
So sexy.
Oh, so sexy. So especially when you're talking about backups and who can play as the backup. No one just thinks like, oh, these guys are going to play every snap of every down, every time they go out there, and they're going to be healthy the whole year.
Yeah.
Well, you have to think about your backups. And like you said, JMS, he was supposed to be one of the top centers coming out of this last year's draft. He's a rookie in that spot that was thrown in there with no support.
Yep.
Pretty much. And now you get a guy that could play the position. 1, you take that as he could be his backup. 2, he could take his job from him. 3, he could also be a mentor and show like, hey, kid, you're doing this. How about something like that?
Yeah, he can, but I don't know. I wonder about
you also.
him,
well, you don't really take people in as usually a mentorship, but there's a lot of moving parts in his offensive line now with guys who can play multiple positions. So like, it is also more of a security blanket of, if someone goes down, do we have to call up a guy off the couch to be a starter?
That'd be a good thing not to do. Now, I will say this. I did look up to see as far as him playing center. Apparently, he played snaps at center in the preseason opener for the Packers back in 2013. So, which is obviously going to last year. So you're talking he has done it within the last year, that means. So interesting. Like I said, I think that kind of flew under the radar a little bit because no one really talked about him as a potential center, but it's interesting. So,
Yeah.
Saquon, though, for his part, was very quick to say nice things about John Michael Schmitz. I give him credit for that because the guys aren't teammates anymore. He has no need to, play that kind of game, but he did. He said that John Michael Schmitz has leadership quality, which Bricillo did quickly agree. So I'm not suggesting that John Runyan is brought in to replace JMS. That'd be ridiculous. They obviously want JMS to pan out, but it's interesting that he's there as an option if either he gets hurt again or doesn't pan out. I just think that's kind of interesting that was brought up so quickly, the center part for him there. So, we talk a lot about the upgrades in the offensive line. We kind of had Schlappman as kind of the backup center. Maybe John Runyan Jr. is actually the backup center. Or maybe it's just in the back of his mind. We have him in a pinch if we need it. Like, I don't know which way it is. He didn't elaborate past that. But I just thought it was interesting you brought that up that quickly.
Yeah.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Enter to win a Daniel Jones signed jersey. Simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@2giantgoofballs, and email a screenshot to 2giantgoofballs@mail.com to enter. Only one submission allowed per subscriber. Monthly subscribers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs will get an additional 2 entries. Contest ends when the channel reaches 1,000 subscribers. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. This contest is not affiliated with the NFL, New York Giants, Daniel Jones, or any other person or company besides the 2 Giant Goofball podcast. Good luck to everyone.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you.